This is Upland Media. Today we are bringing you news from Gulu City, whereby the different stakeholders, the different civil societies organizations, the members of parliament and the keynote guest speakers were invited to interrogate matters of importance pertaining elections. The theme for today's engagement was strengthening the citizens' engagement in elections. I am Lakot Nancy, and today we had the key guest speakers with us. Today we had the first person, that is Dr. Christopher Oyat, who is a lecturer at Gulu University, and he is also a professor in the European countries.
Yes, the question of leadership in actually sub-region is so critical if we are talking about sustainable development. I'm saying this against the backdrop of what has been happening in our society. The region has just emerged from a very long war. And when we're talking about good governance and human rights respect, it means that it is important that the kind of leaders that we allow to take charge of our affairs must be individuals who can ensure that the region moves away from this backwardness to a level where we can catch up with the rest of the country. You remember some time ago there was a report regarding poverty in the region, and actually sub-region has been rated as one of the most backward, with the poverty standing at around 68%. Now if that is the case, it means that a lot has to be done by the leadership in this area. And one of the things that should be looked into, as a matter of fact, the leaders must be individuals who will be able to be accountable and transparent in dealing with issues of society.
NRM, DP, UPC, FDC, all of us are Ugandans. We need to be protected and we need to be served, and served properly.
There should be men and women of integrity, so that whatever can be done in terms of harnessing resources, in terms of looking at projects that can be brought on board, these leaders can champion our cause. I also mentioned the issue of leaders being consensus-based, being consensus-minded. Get the ideas from the people. Get the ideas from the people, from the ground, from the grassroots. Raise those issues, and where possible, project proposals can be, brought on board to address the challenge that we have. It should not be leaders who are driven by egos, driven just for populism, but should be leaders who are interested in transforming the society so that we can catch up with what other regions are up to. We are really in a very bad shape.
Effective service delivery to the people. The people of Uganda, they are crying. Effective service delivery. This is what we continue. As politicians, ours is to talk. We continue talking. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years. They did not stop. They continued to suffer. And when he came out, he turned the trajectory of politics in South Africa.
Because the CSOs have come out very clear on what they want as reforms in the electoral laws and practice in Uganda. And one of them is that gerrymandering, breaking up electoral areas into smaller units, must stop. Two, that we move away from the huge number of MPs in parliament.
Even from 8th parliament, we have been advocating for electoral reform. Electoral reform so that we would be able to even amend electoral laws to favor every Ugandan, to level the ground, the playing field for everyone. But we have not seen light. When I was a leader of opposition, I even asked the Prime Minister then, Dr. Ruakana Gugunda, about constitutional reform. But he said they were already putting the commission in place, but to date nothing. We have never seen light. And when I was leader of opposition, we worked very, very much with our Honorable Nwangaba to come out with amendment in the constitution to amend and to have election reform. But we struggle. First, our number two is also about money. Even if we know that members of parliament are there to do the work of parliament, even if things like amendment appear in on the other paper, they always want themselves to be paid different. So our amendment bill could never see light, although we worked and came almost towards the tail end.
And we should thank Forwarded for this kind of meeting, because it can act as an eye-opener for stakeholders to be able to choose, as time goes on, leaders who are competent come the year 2026. It's a very important area which we need to focus on a sustained basis to get the right people to be at various levels of election. We should not look at leaders just as members of parliament. There's a lot of work at the sub-county level. We require good leaders there. Councillors, chairpersons of LC3s, district councillors in all the 8 districts in the region. We need good leaders right from LC1 to the topmost position, as a matter of fact, if we are to catch up with the rest of the country. This is what I can say.
When there is a wave in change of government, when there is a wave in ensuring that we achieve certain things, the wave will normally cut across. We saw the Gen Zs in Kenya protest against the finance bill, which was passed in the Kenyan parliament. It became massive. They took to the street. We have known young people and the Gen Zs for being on social media, making noise, but this time they changed the narrative and they went offline. From online, they came offline and confronted the issues head on. And the Gen Zs in Kenya had sustained this. Until last week, they were still demonstrating. Now this wave also came to Uganda. The Gen Zs in Uganda crafted 3 adjectives: tribeless, partyless, colorless, name it. And we have seen them march to parliament. Now these are things we cannot ignore. And the attrition will be felt in parliament. If I'm not wrong, in 2021 elections, over 70% of members of parliament were voted out. Over 70% of members of parliament were voted out, including over 10 ministers were voted out. And that tells you that elections in this country work for some position. This is very clear. They do work for some positions.
Yeah, okay, being in level politics, you know, Jimmy Duanta. Number one, me the bed kitchen moron. Down on the chain, K-log ni kachine ni pay. No down pay me on it. Yeah, okay, nano, whatever you might take a chain. At the end of the day, we give will ekomwa. Nga do chen gang pere. No dog got tell my 1 year, gi any good chet good to me. No gi pay got him. Mario, it was down being campaign. Any car me bolo quick up phone you down, more where down bolo qui, especially the young population. To go there. Then 1 a.m. here were both qui, where a lot of team. So those are some of the challenges. My boy, very yeah. In here me bolo qui, bana Jomano gibir kama bo ki polling station. And Joma take chene, no get mutaka, get buses, get you the ball qui. And in any my pay buses, pay lorry me you are down on it. No the ball qui po bolo chen. Po bolo qui idi. Wajane me na chene transport or a ball qui. Con check bene pie. Le boucher me qui benetie and a po inone, the ball qui pity a boucher. What Jomati tune when the tune went piggy boucher, a tour check on what it was a parliament or homework check, the one put there. So those are some of the challenges I want to be in here. Then chalo one or 10 years more food politics, mentorship. In any bill that tell throughout your life, primary, secondary, maybe at the university level, maybe committee, or be national politics, no matter. Fonye mo mer betie dir mo tie strategies mo tie mer ki mini eno ka eni pere mer ini money. So I appeal to the women who are already in politics, who are empowered. Ni umir mak chingwan ma wapike na ngarmono nyuru mirne ma chiki dir mitela chiki ma the community ma mege ilche malite.
Pertaining the engagement and the dialogue and the workshops that has happened today in Gulu City, where the different councillors, the different stakeholders, the keynote speakers discusses more on elections and how we can advocate on how elections should run. They have been comparing, making contrast and comparison of the previous election and that will happen in the coming election of 2021. And and the reason as to why, the main reason for this engagement is actually to call for advocacy, to let the members of the community know the reason as to why they're voting, to let the members of the community know who to vote and the right person to vote and the quality of a good leader, and to let the voter know why am I voting this and this a person. You're not supposed to vote a person because of a soul that has been given to you. You're not supposed to vote a person because a 5,000 shillings that has been given to you and you want to pay back through the votes. That is what for WODE, that is Forum for Women in Democracy, through the Uganda National NGO Forum are striving at. And they are trying to create that loophole so that people should know and they should have the awareness. Most of the engagement, most of the discussions in the workshop were only tackling, and most of the people's complaints were talking about that the members in the community outside there are not getting civic educations. They're not having enough knowledge on what, how and what elections will take place and who should be voted. Because most of them, they are being drained by the amount of money that has been given, and most of them, they really don't know what they are supposed to do. Most of them are being deceived just by maybe use of a mere drone or something which is simpler, and the leader just wants to come in. So they really complain and they wanted to know exactly why and how and who and what time and for what purpose should the election take place.
Today we have been for a meeting that is called the CSO strategy meeting for the 2025-2026 general elections. This strategy meeting, we as the civil society organizations that involved civil society organizations operating in Acholi region, to look at the past elections, what were some of the challenges that were faced by the voters, or what could be some of the gaps that they encouraged or they encountered during the 2021 elections, and then what are the current situations in the country, and then Acholi sub-region, what is the political environment, and then as the CSOs, what can we do together to see that the citizens are actively participating in a meaningful elections, so that they have a peaceful, transparent and accountable elections and credible elections in 2026. So this is what we came up with, and we involved several stakeholders that are involved in electoral processes. So what could be some of these challenges? How can we work together as civil society organizations? We had, we were also privileged to have the academia from the University of Gulu here, who were able to analyze the critical situations. What can be done? What can the citizens know to make a good leadership of this country? So it has been a very good engagement that we urge the civil society who attended this meeting to go back and tell the community, to tell the various people that they interface of how the elections can be organized in a peaceful, fair and credible way, such that there is a peaceful coexistence and there is a inclusive campaigns, inclusive elections in this country. Moreover, more so in Acholi sub-region, we see a lot of issues that are upcoming. The issues of Balalo, the issues of land grabbing, the issues of cattle, the issues of elephants are disturbing people, the issues of campaigns misuse of campaigns, the extra use of money during campaigns, maybe intimidations, bribery. So there are very many issues that are affecting the political environment in a way that elections are not always free and fair. So we urge these civil society organizations to go and tell people the values of elections. 2026 is coming. Who are the kinds of leaders should we elect? What are the qualities of the leaders? So there has been so much information that we got, and we believe the civil society out there are going to sensitize the community such that we shall have credible elections in Uganda and then in Acholi sub-region. Thank you so much.